wabarakatuh. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Udah, jangan kok ganti. Oke. Assalamualaikum, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good
Okay.
afternoon.
Okay, first of all, let me introduce our group. We are from group 5. We're going to present material from chapter 1, Economy 101, Basic of Economics. So introduce myself. My name is Kusrin Rusdin, and today I will be the moderator for our presentation. And there are my group members. They are Ratu Yolanda Octavia and Dita Prasmewari, Fitria Ramadhani, dan Nadira Rahmadani. So before we start, let me explain our presentation flow. The first one, there are introduction, microeconomics and macroeconomics, supply and demand, wealth and types of wealth, value and price, scarcity, and the last one is economic system. All right, without further ado, let's start with the first topic. To begin our presentation, we will start with introduction to economics, including its definition and brief history. This material will be delivered by Ratu. Ratu, the time is yours.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity, moderator. Economics is basically the study of how people use limited resources to improve their well-being. It is called a social science because it uses scientific methods to understand the behavior of individuals, groups, and organizations. And historically, economics used to be a part of philosophy, but in 1776, Adam Smith separated it with his book, the name The Wealth of Nation, which is considered the starting point of modern economics. And Adam Smith, together with other classical economics like David Ricardo, Thomas Malthus, and John Stuart Mill, this shaped the foundation of economic thought. And from there, economics was divided into two main branches. Next, yeah. Uh, from there, economics was divided into two main branches, that microeconomics and macroeconomics. Eh, ya, dapat teman-teman lihat bahwa terdapat beberapa aspek. In microeconomics, looks at the small picture, like individuals and firms. It's focused in on behavior, how people and companies respond to price changes, demand, and the value of goods. So the purpose is to understand financial decision, market dynamics, and it explains how coordination and cooperation happen in the economy. Um, and how about macroeconomics? The macroeconomics on the other look at the big picture, the national and international economy. It is focused in uh, is on overall performance, including GDP, inflation, employment. The purpose is to guide fiscal and monetary policies and how resources are allocated. And it also examines trade, government policies, and academic indicators. I think that's all for microeconomics and macroeconomics.
Okay, thank you, Ratu, for the explanation about introduction to academic, and also thank you for the explanation about the differences between micro and macroeconomics. So next, there are after learning about the basic of economics, we'll move on to supply and demand. First, we'll start with supply, which will be presented by Nadira. Nadira, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, moderator. So, what is supply actually? Supply refers to the willingness of producers to offer goods or services for sale in the market. It reflects the intention of producers to produce and sell products at a certain price level. Quantity supplied is the amount of goods or services that producers are ready and able to sell at the specific price. This quantity may change depending on price fluctuations and market conditions. And this is the law of supply. When the price of a good increases, so the quantity supply also increases. And when the price of a good decreases, so the quantity supplied also decreases. This happens because producers are more motivated to sell their goods at higher prices, as it allows them to gain greater profits. And here, several factors influence supply, including prod- production cost. Is higher production cost usually reduce supply. Next is technology. Advanced technology can improve efficiency, leading to greater supplies. Next is number of sellers. More sellers in the market result in a larger overall supply. And the last is producers' expectation. If producers expect prices to rise in the future, they may reduce supply now and increase it later. Therefore, supply plays a crucial role in determining both the market price and the availability of goods and, and services. So that's explanation about supply. Next, demand will present with by my friends. Thank you, moderator.
Okay, thank you, Nadira. Now let's continue with the demon, which will be delivered by Fitria. Fitria, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you for the moderator. So demand refers to how much consumers desire a product or service at a given price level. It reflects the market's need to for the goods being offered. Quantity demanded indicates how much of a product consumers are willing to buy at a specific price. The demand relationship is the connection between price and the quantity of goods demanded. When the price changes, the quantity demanded also changes. The law of demand states that the higher the price of a product, the lower the demand for it and vice versa. Demand is influenced by time, competition, and consumer behavior, especially when stockouts occur, which may cause consumers to switch to other products. I think that's all for to explain about demand. I will take away to moderator.
Okay, thank you. Now we understand how supply and demand work together to affect price in the market. Next, we are moving to the topic wealth and types of wealth. This part will be presented by Fitria Ramadhani again. Fitria, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you for moderator. So definition of wealth. In economics, wealth is a fundamental concept. While in everyday use, wealth might refer to money, property, or gold, in economics, it describes all things that have value. To be considered wealth, a commodity must possess three essential qualities: utility, scarcity, and transferability. If even one of these is missing, the item cannot be termed as wealth. Wealth is also different from capital, income, and money. The first is capital, is the part of wealth which is used for further production of wealth. For example, furniture used at home is wealth, but if it is given on rent, it becomes capital. So, all capital is wealth, but not all wealth is capital. The second is income is the earning from wealth. Wealth is a stock while income is a flow. For instance, shares of a company are wealth, but the dividend received from them is income. The third is money consists of coins and currency notes. It is the liquid form of wealth. All money is wealth, but not all wealth is money. And the types of wealth. There are five main types of wealth discussed in economics. The first is individual wealth. This refers to wealth owned by an individual such as a car, house, or company. The second is social wealth. These are goods owned collectively by society, including schools, colleges, roads, canals, mines, and forests. The third is national or real wealth. This includes all individual and social wealth. It consists of natural assets possessed by the society. The fourth is international wealth. Organizations like the United Nations and its agencies such as the World Bank and IMF are considered international wealth because all countries contribute to their operation. And the last is financial wealth. This refers to the holding of money, stocks, and bonds by individuals. However, financial wealth is excluded from national wealth because these assets are claims against one another within society. I think that's all from explanation about wealth and types of wealth. I will take by moderator.
Okay, thank you, Fitria, for explaining the concept of wealth. Now we know that wealth is not only about money but also assets and ownership. Moving on to the next topic, we have um, value and price. This material will be delivered by Nadira. Nadira, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, moderator. So I'll explain what is value and price is. So value refers how much the benefit or usefulness a good or service has, and it is usually determined by comparing it with other goods or services. Services. In this sense, value is relative because it shows how much of something else can be obtained in exchange. For example, 1 kilogram of rice can be exchanged for 2 liters of oil. This illustrates can value is not expressed in money, but rather in compar- comparison with another item. Value emphasizes the function, usefulness, and exchangeability of a product. It highlights how important or beneficial an item is in relation to others. And next is a price. Price is the value of a good or service expressed in monetary terms. In other words, price shows how much money must be paid in order to obtain a product or service. Unlike value, price is easier to recognize and understand because it is always expressed in numbers or currency. This makes it's simple to measure, compare, and determine someone's purchasing power. For example, 1 kilogram of rice costs 16,000 rupiah. This means that if a person wants to have a 1 kilogram of rice, they need to spend 16,000 rupiah. Therefore, price functions as an official measurement tool in economic transactions because it provides a clear and definite standard in the form of money. With price, the process of buying and selling becomes more practical and straightforward compared to bartering. So that's all. Thank you, moderator.
Okay, thank you, Nadira, for your explanation. Now, we can see the difference between value and price. Biasanya kita beranggapan bahwa value dan price itu sama, namun ternyata mereka punya makna yang berbeda. Okay, finally, we have two last topic, scarcity and economic system. This topic will be presented by Dita. Dita, the stage is yours. Sorry, Dita.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity, moderator. So, what is scarcity? Scarcity is the foundation of economics. Why? Because human wants are unlimited, but the resources available, such as time, money, labor, and raw materials, are limited. This means individuals, business, and governments must make choices what to prioritize and what to sacrifice. And for example, um, we all want many things vacations, the less gadgets, delicious food, but we only have limited money and time. So, similarly, governments must decide whether to build roads, hospitals, or schools first. These decisions involve trade offs. Economics help us understand how these choices are made and how limited resources can be used efficiently to meet as many needs as possible. Next slide, please. Ada di sarang apa? Okay. For examples, there are economic goods and free goods. What is economic goods? The example is like pen, book, and etc. It has a limited and have value. While free goods, it's like air, and is unlimited or no economic value. And then there are limited resources. The first is individual, like time, money, and skills. And the second is nation, is about natural resources, labor, capital, and technology. Next slide, please. Okay. Next slide is consequence. When resources are scarce, we are forced to make choices, and every choice has consequences. Because we can't have everything, we must decide what to give up. Ada Kak? Introduction to business. Lagi presentasi. Bisa di-cut nggak? The next is about consequence. When resources are scarce, we are forced to make choices, and every choice has consequences. Because we can have everything, we must decide what to give up in order to get something else. And this is called opportunity cost. The value of what we sacrifice when we choose one option over another. For example, if a government spends its budget on building highways, it might have to delay funding for education or healthcare. But if a student spends time working part-time, they might have less time to study. And these trade-offs affect individuals, business, and entire societies. Scarcity also leads to competition. People compete for jobs, companies compete for customers, and countries compete for resources. It can even lead to inequality, where some people have access to basic needs while others do not. And okay, there are role of economics too. The role of economics is to study why decisions are made and how resources can be allocated most efficiently. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. Wait. About economic system. Every country has its own way of organizing the production and distribution of goods and service. This is called an economic system. There are several main types of economic system. The first one is primitive or traditional economy. This is found in rural or indigenous communities. Production is mainly for personal use, with little involvement in markets or private ownership. And the second one is feudalism. Land is owned by nobles, and people work the land in exchange for uh, protection. Okay. The third one is slavery. Production is carried out by enslaved people who have no rights over their labor or its outcomes. And the next is capitalism, the system most of us know today. Private ownership, profit driven production, and distribution through markets. For example, a shoe company produces shoes to sell, not just to wear. And five point is socialism. The means of production are collectively owned by workers. Profits are shared, but markets are still used. And the last one is communism. No private ownership. All production tools are owned by society, and the distribution is managed by the government based on need, not profit. Okay, each system has its own strength and weakness depending on the country's goals and values. I think that's enough from me. I'll hand it back to the moderator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dita, for your explaining seeing scarcity and economic systems so clearly. All right, everyone. Um, that concludes our presentation on Economic 101, Basic of Economics. Today, we have learned about the definition of economic, the differences between micro and macroeconomics, and the concept of supply and demand. Well, value, price, scarcity, and various economic system. Uh, that's all for the presentation. We hope this presentation has been useful and easy to understand. Thank you for your attention, and we apologize if there were any mistake during our explanation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Happy watching.
Awesome.
Yeah.